The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly beyond Aurora Station. Stars sparkled like scattered diamonds, but their cold light could not mask the dangers lurking in the void. The station itself was a marvel of human engineering, a floating city orbiting a distant, uncharted star. Humanity had pushed its reach farther than ever before, carving out colonies where none had gone before. Yet, with every new world came new dangers. Captain Jace Morgan floated in the airlock, his suit's magnetic boots clinking softly against the floor. His eyes followed the slow rotations of the massive mining asteroid outside. He had flown countless shuttles, performed dozens of EVAs, and seen the void strip life from even the most prepared astronauts. Yet, he never tired of the beauty of the stars, the sheer thrill of standing on the edge of the unknown. "Ready, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Torres, his voice crackling through Jace's helmet radio. "Always," Jace replied, checking his tools one last time. The EVA today was routine, surveying a mining site for potential resource expansions. Routine, except for one thing. Dr. Ilara Voss would be joining him. Ilara was infamous on Aurora Station. Brilliant, fearless, and more than a little reckless. She had a reputation for bending rules, pushing limits, and surviving situations that would make seasoned pilots break into cold sweats. Jace had met her only once before, but the memory of her calm precision had stayed with him, and today, he was about to see her in action up close. The airlock doors opened, and the vacuum of space rushed in, a silent reminder of the fine line between life and death. Jace moved carefully, magnetic boots securing him to the asteroid's hull. Ilara followed, her movements smooth and deliberate. She laughed lightly at the microgravity, spinning a tool in her hand like a toy. "You're taking this seriously, right?" Jace called, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. Ilara grinned. "Always. But a little fun keeps the nerves from freezing." The survey went smoothly at first. They planted sensors, scanned the mineral deposits, and collected samples. Jace noticed how Ilara's eyes gleamed with excitement, how she moved with confidence that made him nervous and strangely captivated at the same time. Then it happened. A small fragment of rock, loosened by mining activity, floated toward them at high speed. Jace reacted instantly, grabbing it with a magnetic clamp and tossing it aside. But the fragment ricocheted off the hull. He felt his stomach drop when he saw it hit Ilara's helmet. The impact was small, but enough to loosen the seal. Her helmet floated free for a split second. Time slowed. "Ilara!" Jace screamed, though the sound was muffled by his helmet radio. She froze, her eyes wide, before the harsh reality hit. In the void, even a second, without a helmet, could mean death. Jace propelled himself toward her, hands reaching out instinctively. His training, his experience, all boiled down to one moment. Save her, no matter the cost. He grabbed her suit, guiding her back to the safety of the asteroid's hull. His heart pounded in his chest, adrenaline surging through his veins. Carefully, he reattached her helmet, sealing it with a satisfying click. She inhaled sharply, then gave a shaky laugh. "You nearly were," Jace said, trying to keep his voice steady. "One more second, and..." Ilara placed a gloved hand on his shoulder. "You saved me. That's all that matters." Her eyes held his, and for a fleeting moment, the cold expanse of space vanished. There was only her, and the intensity of that life-saving moment. Jace knew he should pull away. He should remind himself of the rules. No personal attachments during EVA missions. It was a regulation meant to prevent exactly this kind of distraction. But he couldn't. Something inside him shifted. In that instant, he swore silently to himself. He would break every rule, if it meant keeping her safe, if it meant winning her heart. The rest of the EVA passed in a blur. Jace's mind was elsewhere, half focused on the sensors and tools, half lost in the memory of her smile. When they finally returned to the airlock, the warmth of the station felt like a miracle after the cold of space. Inside, Elara removed her helmet, shaking her hair free. "You know," she said, her tone teasing. "Most pilots would have panicked. Maybe even left me out there." Jace blinked. I don't panic." The words sounded weak even to him, but he didn't care. She laughed, and the sound was like sunlight cutting through a storm. "Clearly," she said, rolling her eyes. "I'm glad you were the one out there." They walked through the station's corridors, side by side, though the distance between them seemed smaller than it should be. Jace noticed the way people glanced at them: curiosity, admiration, suspicion. Rules were not lightly broken here. Elara stopped at a viewing port, looking out at the glittering void. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she said softly. Jace joined her, staring at the endless black sprinkled with stars. "It's frightening," he admitted. "And yet, somehow, inspiring." She nodded. "That's humanity for you. We thrive where others wouldn't even step foot." Her words struck him. Humanity. Brave. Inventive. Unyielding. Traits he had always admired and now saw reflected in her. The intercom buzzed. "Dr. Voss, your presence is requested on the research deck. Urgent mission briefing." A calm, official voice announced. Elara's expression tightened. "That's sooner than expected." She glanced at Jace, a flash of regret in her eyes. "Duty calls." Jace's chest tightened. He wanted to argue, to insist she stay, but he didn't. Rules again. Duty. Survival. He only nodded, swallowing the sudden bitterness in his throat. "I'll see you later," he said, his voice quieter than intended. She smiled faintly. "You will," she replied. Then, she walked away, her steps purposeful, leaving Jace staring after her. He turned back to the port, the stars outside no less dazzling. But the void felt emptier somehow. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a new determination. He would find a way to see her again, to stay by her side. He would bend every rule, challenge every regulation, and face every danger, if it meant making her his. Hours later, Jace returned to his quarters, unable to sleep. He reviewed the EVA footage repeatedly, noting every detail of her actions, every glance, every movement. He realized something undeniable. He was captivated, drawn to her in ways he had never felt before. And it scared him. The rules existed for a reason, yet he was willing to risk everything. Aurora Station hummed quietly in the background, life continuing as usual. Engineers walked the corridors, scientists argued over experiments, and shuttles docked and undocked in endless rotation. Yet for Jace, none of it mattered. Only one thought filled his mind. Her life was in his hands, and one day, her heart might be too. The next morning, news arrived that shook him. Elara had been summoned by a top-secret research mission, leaving the station immediately. The details were scarce protocols, security clearances, classified objectives. But the message was clear. She was gone, and he had no say in it. Jace stood on the docking platform, watching the shuttle carrying her disappear into the void. The stars stretched endlessly before him, indifferent to human longing, human rules, human courage. Yet he felt something stir deep within a promise he had made silently, fiercely, to himself. He would find her again. He would break rules, defy authority, and face dangers beyond comprehension, if it meant he could make her his wife. As the shuttle faded from view, Jace clenched his fists. Humanity had always thrived against impossible odds, and he was about to prove it once more. Against bureaucracy, against danger, against the cold void of space itself, he would not fail. And somewhere out there, drifting among the stars, Ilara Voss was alive. That was enough. For now, the shuttle bay of Aurora Station hummed with activity. Technicians moved quickly, their boots clanking against the metal floors, while control panels blinked with urgent messages. Captain Jace Morgan stood at the edge, his jaw tight, eyes following the path of Ilara's shuttle as it disappeared into the blackness of space. He knew where she was going, or at least, he had a rough idea. Classified missions were classified, but rumors circulated among the staff. Ilara had been sent to survey an alien ecosystem on the uncharted planet Arendor 7, a world humans had barely mapped. Officially, he had no business going there. Unofficially, he couldn't sit still while she faced unknown dangers alone. Jace turned to Lieutenant Torres. "I'm going after her," he said, his voice steady but firm. Torres froze, eyebrows raising. "Captain, you can't. That mission is off limits. It's top secret. You go, and you're risking court-martial or worse." "I don't care," Jace snapped, surprising even himself. "She's alive because of me once. I'm not letting the universe take her from me again. I'll break every rule if I have to." And Torres shook his head, but didn't stop him. He knew better than anyone that once Jace set his mind to something, it was nearly impossible to deter him. By the end of the day, Jace had secured a shuttle. Official clearances were forged, alarms bypassed, and a small crew assembled, each handpicked for skill and discretion. There was no time for debate. Ilara's mission had already begun. The stars outside the bay glimmered, cold and distant, but to Jace, they seemed to beckon him onward. The journey to Arendor 7 was tense. The shuttle's hull groaned as it passed through asteroid belts, and Jace's crew kept a constant eye on the navigation system. Despite the danger, Jace's mind wandered repeatedly to Ilara. He pictured her laughing as she floated through microgravity, her hair shimmering under the station lights, her eyes full of brilliance and determination. He couldn't deny it. He had fallen completely, and for the first time in his life, rules, protocols, and regulations meant nothing. As they neared Arendor 7, a storm unlike any Jace had ever seen erupted across the planet's surface. Lightning crackled in deep shades of blue and green, and winds tore across the uninhabited plains, lifting dust and debris in chaotic spirals. The planet was alive, but violent. "Brace for turbulence," Jace said, gripping the controls tightly. The shuttle shook violently, warning lights flashing. Through the viewport, he spotted a small settlement of human research pods, the location of Ilara's mission. But the storm was relentless. Asteroids hurled themselves through the atmosphere, forcing Jace to make split-second adjustments. Every second counted. Every mistake could be fatal. Finally, they landed near the main research pod. The doors hissed open, and Jace's boots sank into the alien soil. The air was thick, almost electric, with the residue of the storm. He signaled to his team. "Keep sharp. We don't know what's waiting out here." 2. They moved cautiously through the settlement. Broken equipment littered the ground, and signs of hurried evacuation were everywhere. It was clear something had gone wrong. And then he saw her. Ilara crouched behind a damaged sensor tower, her helmet cracked but intact. Her eyes widened as she recognized him. "Jace, what are you?" "No time," he said, cutting her off gently. "We need to get out of here. Now." Before she could respond, a loud screech echoed across the settlement. Jace turned to see alien creatures emerging from the storm, tall, sinewy beings, with reflective skin and glowing eyes. They moved with intelligence, watching their every move. Jace's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like this. But training and human ingenuity kicked in. "Everyone! Defensive positions!" he shouted. His crew quickly armed themselves with energy disruptors, though the weapons were secondary. He knew fighting these creatures could be disastrous. Humans had to be smart, not just strong. Ilara looked at him, fear and admiration mingling in her eyes. "You came for me," she said quietly. "I didn't have a choice," Jace replied. "You've already risked your life. I won't let you face this alone." The alien creatures moved methodically, herding the humans toward the settlement's central research hub. Jace noticed the layout of the buildings and quickly formulated a plan. Using small, portable energy emitters, he created distractions and false trails, leading the creatures away from the main escape route. Each action was precise, requiring ingenuity and teamwork. "Go, now!" he shouted to Ilara. They sprinted toward the shuttle, dodging debris and leaping over fractured terrain. The aliens followed, but Jace had anticipated their path, cutting off avenues and exploiting gaps in their coordination. It was a battle of wits more than weapons, and humans were proving their worth. The shuttle's engines roared to life as they prepared for takeoff. Ilara secured herself, looking at Jace with a mixture of awe and gratitude. "You're insane," she said, with a shaky laugh. "I prefer determined." Jace shot back, igniting the engines. The shuttle lifted, narrowly avoiding the storm and alien pursuit. Through the viewport, he watched the creatures retreat, unable to predict human ingenuity. Once in orbit, the tension finally eased. Ilara exhaled, leaning back in her seat. "I can't believe you did all that. Just for me." Jace looked at her, eyes earnest. "I couldn't not. You're alive, because of me once. And now, I'm not letting anything happen to you again. Not rules, not storms, not anything." She studied him, her expression softening. "You care a lot, don't you?" "I do," he said simply. The words felt strange coming from him, direct and unguarded. But he didn't care. She needed to know. He had risked everything to find her. And he would do it again, without hesitation. They drifted in silence for a few moments, the hum of the shuttle filling the void. Then Ilara reached out, touching his arm lightly. "You're reckless," she said, half scolding, half smiling. "And yet effective," Jace replied, a small grin tugging at his lips. The rest of the journey was tense but uneventful. They avoided asteroid fields and rogue satellites, relying on Jace's skill and quick thinking. Every minor obstacle was met with human creativity. Rerouted power systems, improvised navigation, and bold maneuvers that no AI could have predicted. Humanity's resilience shone through. And Jace felt a quiet pride, not for himself alone, but for what humans could achieve even in the face of impossible odds. When they finally returned to a safe orbit near Aurora Station, the city lights gleamed in the darkness below. Jace guided the shuttle in for landing, every movement precise. The crew secured the shuttle, and Ilara finally removed her helmet. "You broke every rule to come here," she said softly, brushing dust from her hair. "Every regulation, every restriction, all for me." "I did," he admitted, meeting her gaze. Her eyes glistened, but there was no fear, only admiration. Perhaps even something more. She took a deep breath. Then, "I guess rules weren't made for us." Jace smiled, relief and happiness flooding through him. They had survived storms, alien threats, and the bureaucracy of space. And through it all, humanity bold, clever, and unyielding had triumphed. As they walked through the station, side by side, a quiet understanding passed between them. Jace would do anything to protect her. Ilara had seen his courage, his ingenuity, his willingness to defy everything for love. And she was beginning to feel the same. But as they approached the main station hub, a new alert flashed on Jace's HUD. A distant signal, barely detectable, but unmistakably urgent. Another threat, this time approaching Aurora Station itself. Jace looked at Alara, his expression grim but determined. Looks like the adventure isn't over yet. She smiled, a mixture of excitement and challenge in her eyes. Good. I like adventures. And together, they prepared to face whatever the universe would throw at them next. Their bond, stronger than ever. Human courage, ingenuity, and the sheer determination to protect one another had won this battle. But the stars were endless, and their story had only just begun. Aurora Station glimmered against the void like a jewel in the darkness. But Jace Morgan knew beauty could be deceiving. Reports were streaming in. A rogue asteroid cluster, larger and faster than any the station's defenses had ever faced, was hurtling toward the orbital colony. Automated shields could only do so much, and time was running short. Jace stood at the command deck, beside Alara, her hair tied back, eyes sharp as ever. She had insisted on staying, not hiding behind regulations while danger approached. "We can help," she said firmly. "We're not just passengers here, Jace. We're human. That counts for something." He looked at her, heart swelling. Even in the face of imminent disaster, her bravery matched his own. "You're right," he said. "We'll do this together." The station's AI, Lumina, projected the asteroid trajectory in 3 dimensions above the command console. The largest fragment would strike near the research hub in under 30 minutes. Evacuation was possible, but many scientists and civilians would be trapped. Jace turned to his crew. "Prepare the shuttles. But we're not just evacuating, we're intercepting. Humanity isn't just surviving. We're protecting what we've built. Let's move." They boarded a defense shuttle and launched toward the incoming cluster. The void of space stretched endlessly, but Jace's mind focused on one thing. Ingenuity and courage could bend even fate's harsh hand. The first asteroid loomed large, tumbling like a dark moon. Lasers from the station struck its surface, but it was too massive to stop entirely. Jace veered the shuttle, using its thrusters to create micro-collisions with smaller fragments, redirecting them from the station's critical modules. Alara monitored the asteroid's composition, shouting calculations over the radio. "Jace, it's hollow in sections. If we can target the pockets of lighter material, we can fragment it further, before impact." He grinned despite the danger. "Good thinking, Dr. Voss. Let's see if your genius can save everyone." The shuttle rocketed through debris, dodging tumbling rocks with precise, daring maneuvers. Jace's hands moved with almost mechanical precision, guided by intuition honed over years in space. Alara coordinated from the side console, her instructions sharp and clear. Together, they formed a human-machine synergy, improvising solutions that no AI alone could achieve. A massive fragment broke apart under their guidance, the smaller pieces redirected harmlessly into empty space. Jace and Alara shared a brief, relieved glance. Humanity had prevailed again, not through sheer force, but through brains, courage, and determination. Then, a larger threat emerged. A rogue corporate drone ship, sent to harvest data from the alien ecosystem on Arendor 7, had arrived unexpectedly. Its weapons were lethal, its orders uncompromising. Jace cursed under his breath. As if asteroids weren't enough, Alara's eyes narrowed. "We can outsmart it. Its AI is predictable, but we're not." "Exactly," Jace said. "Time to show what humans can do." Using a combination of shuttle maneuvers and the station's defensive systems, they lured the drone into the asteroid field. The drone's sensors struggled to differentiate between the incoming debris and their shuttle, giving Jace the opening he needed. With a daring move, he sent the drone careening into a massive fragment, its systems overloaded by the impact. "Human ingenuity wins again," Alara said, a triumphant smile breaking across her face. The immediate danger passed, but the adrenaline kept their hearts racing. Jace and Alara returned to the station, docking the shuttle with practiced precision. As they stepped onto the main platform, the station's inhabitants greeted them as heroes. But Jace had eyes only for her. "Elara," he said, his voice quieter than usual, yet firm. "We've faced storms, alien worlds, and bureaucratic nonsense together. I've broken every rule, risked everything, but it's worth it. Because of you." Her gaze softened, and for a moment, the chaos of the station faded. "Jace, you're reckless," she whispered, half amused, half serious, and completely impossible to resist. He stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "I don't care about rules anymore. I don't care about regulations or warnings. I care about you. And I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you're safe, happy, with me." Elara's eyes glistened with tears, though she smiled. "You'd defy the universe for me," she said softly. You really would." "I already have," Jace replied, his voice steady, full of conviction. "And I'll do it 1,000 more times if I have to. I love you, Elara Voss. I want to make you my wife." The hum of Aurora Station seemed to pause as she absorbed his words. Then, slowly, she nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes, Jace. I'll be yours. We'll face everything together." A cheer erupted from the crew nearby, but Jace and Elara barely noticed. In that moment, nothing else existed. No rules, no dangers, only the bond between two humans who had risked everything for one another. Yet the universe had one final test. The AI on the station detected a massive, rogue energy surge from a nearby wormhole, an unstable anomaly threatening to destabilize the station's orbit. Jace looked at Elara. "Looks like the stars aren't done with us yet." She laughed softly. "We're human. We don't run from challenges." Together, they coordinated with the station's systems. Jace piloted a small shuttle to place stabilizing energy nodes, while Elara directed power reroutes and recalibrated shielding frequencies. It was a dance of intelligence and daring human ingenuity against the cold indifference of the cosmos. The wormhole's energy pulsed violently, but through precise calculations and bold improvisation, they managed to stabilize the station's orbit. Lights flickered, alarms silenced, and a collective sigh of relief echoed throughout the habitat. Humanity had survived once more not because of strength alone, but because of determination, teamwork, and the ability to adapt. As the last system stabilized, Jace and Elara floated together near a viewing port. The stars stretched endlessly before them. He turned to her, taking her hands once again. "We've faced storms, alien creatures, rogue corporations, and now, the stars themselves. And here we are, together." End quote. Elara smiled, resting her forehead against his. "Together," she whispered. "No rules, no restrictions, just us." Jace pulled a small box from his pocket, simple yet elegant. He opened it to reveal a ring, its metal gleaming against the backdrop of space. "Elara Voss, will you make me the happiest man in the universe? Will you be my wife?" Tears filled her eyes, but she nodded firmly. "Yes, Jace Morgan. I will." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and for a moment, the stars outside seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the union. Humanity's courage, ingenuity, and heart had triumphed once again, not just over danger, but over fear itself. The crew gathered around, cheering. But Jace and Elara needed no audience. They had faced the void, broken rules, and risked everything. And now, they had each other. Aurora Station continued its orbit, a testament to human achievement. But more than the engineering marvel, more than the lights and defenses, Jace realized it was human spirit that shone brightest. Bold, fearless, and unyielding. It had carried them through storms, through alien threats, through the chaos of the universe itself. He glanced at Elara, her hand in his, her eyes reflecting the stars. No matter what comes next, he said softly, we face it together. Always. She smiled, squeezing his hand. Always. Above them, the cosmos stretched endlessly, full of mysteries and dangers yet to be explored. But humanity, Jace knew, would rise to meet them. With courage, ingenuity, and love, there was no challenge too great. And with Alara by his side, he felt unstoppable. Together, they looked out at the stars, knowing their adventure was far from over, but confident in one undeniable truth. Humanity, and their bond, would endure. Against all odds, against all rules, against the universe itself. And in that moment, floating in the quiet hum of Aurora Station, Jace Morgan and Alara Voss found not just survival, but love, hope, and a future among the stars.